It's not that hard to figure out. They raise their price in direct correlation of the falling dollar. The price of gas is not going up. The dollar is going down. Now, who is responsible for that? Who's responsible for the little red line here? Mr. Potter, the Federal Reserve. The news reports always say things like this. The euro hits a 16-month high. Oh, my goodness. The headline should read, the dollar is falling like a skydiver with no parachute and Europe is the ground. How could the euro be gaining ground? To buy the British pound, it used to take $1.95. Today it takes $1.65. Well, wait a minute. Holy cow. Fold this paper in half and look at the correlation. It's almost as if the dollar going down makes the euro go up. Notice, it's almost identical. Everything in the world is measured against our dollar. Who's responsible for the value of the dollar going down and making the euro skyrocket? It's again Mr. Potter, Ben Bernanke. Here's a report on the dollar today. The dollar took a beating Wednesday, losing ground to a range of currencies, and it's falling to its lowest level since against the euro in 15 months. So we're flooding the market with trillions of dollars, and it's not having any positive effect. I mean, do you have a job at McDonald's? It was a big deal that McDonald's was hiring people. All it has done is make your dollar worth less, and soon worthless. It has also caused energy prices to rise, food prices to rise, enrich large financial institutions. The best thing you can say about the mass injection of cash is, well, we have delayed the inevitable collapse. That's why I was actually for the first TARP package for 3 days, because it did delay the inevitable collapse. But it took me 3 days to reverse myself, because I said on the third day, they're not warning you. They're not telling you to prepare. It's not a good thing to delay the collapse if you don't prepare. They're preparing. How do I know? Well, let's look at the stock market. Have you noticed the stock market's doing really well? Up 52 points, 12,506. Now, has anybody bothered to look into why the stock market is so high when clearly things on the ground, when businesses aren't doing well, with gas prices, everything else? How has the stock market stayed up in the middle of this? You look at the drastic rise of energy cost. I mean, America's outlook, it's good. When our energy prices are going to continue to rise and go through the roof, D.C. already has $5 a gallon gasoline. There are reports of $6 on the way. The effects on that is more than just you driving to work and heating, which are huge. Everything that gets shipped will be higher. Food, clothes, everything that has to go onto a train is made in a machine. Your soap, everything is based in oil. How could it possibly be that Wall Street is going through the roof? Crude oil. Here's the average. Markets continue to rise. It's not phased. Well, let me show you a few events. Tunisia. Show Tunisia. Put Tunisia. Here's the Tunisian uprisings. Look at this. Tunisia uprisings. A little blip when you get to Egypt. The unrest in the Middle East. And Libya. There's Libya. Here's where we go to war in Libya. Boom. And then right back up. Now look at this. This is massive uprising in the Middle East where all of our oil is. What the heck is going on? Obama's pumping more money to the rebels and they appear to be losing, but the market continues to rise. Doesn't make the market freak out? What will? What caused this? What happened here? Well, the market kicked off a 2-month plunge, 17% loss. What sparked it? The end of QE1 was approaching, and the large financial institutions would lose their sugar daddy. Look at that. This caused investors to warn of a seismic shift in the market if something wasn't done, so the markets dropped. But have no fear, because the market recovered on its own. Well, not really on its own. Let me show you. QE2 was announced, and the market went back up again. The large financial institutions got more money, but danger is never far. QE2 coming to an end in June. There are reports that when it ends, there'll be another massive plunge, 20% in the stock market. There are already rumblings that when QE2 ends, done. Job for QE3, more money for, quote, the large financial institutions, not the old building and loan, but the large financial institutions, the Fed. And so the stock market continues to rise because the large financial institutions are safe and secure. But what happens every time we print billions of dollars to keep the world from busting wide open? Your dollar becomes worth less. This is theft. Much more. Stay where you are.
Did you get your money?
No.
Well, I did. Old man Potter will pay 50 cents on the dollar for every share you got.
50 cents on the dollar?
Yes, cash.
Cash. 50 cents on the dollar. My thesis is Ben Bernanke is Mr. Potter. There's an emergency, and he's paying cash. He'll help bail you out. The old building and loan. So how low can your dollar go? Well, in the last 8 years, your dollar has lost 21.4%. It's now worth 79 cents. Not a dollar, 79 cents. Let me explain it this way. If you wanted to have retirement and all you had in the whole world was $10,000, you had $10,000 and you had it sitting in an 8-year period, you had it sitting in the bank. Because they're inflating our money, they have just taken this much away from you. Stolen. It's gone. You now have $8,000. Mr. Potter has taken $2,000 of your hard-earned money. And where did it go? To the bank. You need to understand, the stock market goes up with quantitative easing. Why? They're playing with your money by making it cheaper. They are playing with your money. They also want to do this not only to get rich themselves, but also to keep the market up. Because if people realize the stock market is at 5,000, the jig is up. They'll start to say, whoa, whoa, what are you guys doing over here? But that's a stupid sign for all of us that things are good. And if you freak out, then what do? Then you figure this one out. What do? You start buying gold. Yeah. I told you to be prepared. Oh, geez, how many years ago? Be prepared. Told you to buy gold. I was called nuts, a fearmonger, everything else. New York Times got in on that one. Oh, I was horrible. Look at the front page of the New York Times today. What's it say? Prices surge as investors rush to safety of gold. Now it's safety. George Soros earlier this year dramatically upped his investment in gold, despite calling it the ultimate bubble just weeks earlier. He says it's a bubble, and then he goes and buys it. And he's not buying paper. The University of Texas just bought $1 billion in physical gold. They want the tangible gold. Why? Because they fear a shortage. Because just like this, okay, this is only worth what we print on here. This is worthless. Paper is worthless. At the end of this game, this is all you have left is just worthless paper. If you read history, you know that. By the way, you might be interested. Do you know who the biggest holder of gold is in the world? Coming in at number 3 is the International Monetary Fund, basket of currencies. Number 2 is Germany. Number 1, the United States of America. But is that really true? I mean, I'm assuming it is, but who's holding it? You might think that it's at Fort Knox. I think it is, but I'm not sure. Ron Paul and Jason Chaffetz, among others, have demanded to see the gold at Fort Knox, but the congressmen, they're not showing the gold at Fort Knox. Government won't show it. I guess we're on the trust system. Do you trust the government? I'll tell you where a lot of gold is, the Federal Reserve. 22% of all of the world's gold holdings is in the basement in Lower Manhattan, 80 feet below street level and 50 feet below sea level. You're told not to buy gold. They have 22% of the gold. They keep making your dollar worth less and telling you not to do it. Not to, what is it the New York Times says? Rush to the safety of gold. Wants to help, willing to bail things out. Citizens lose because of help. The goal is to get control of the town, to make it Potterville. I would wonder what the Fed's goal is. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do. It's benevolent, I'm sure. It probably has a lot to do with the golden rule. You know, he who has the gold wins.
Coming soon, the first ever Glenn Beck Quiz Show. Think you could answer questions about the stuff Glenn's covered over the last 2 years?
I talk about the dangers of big government, collective salvation, the Tides Foundation.
If so, we'd like to put you to the test. Who does Glenn call the spooky dude?
Oh, spooky dude.
Who does Glenn hate?
Hate this guy.
Who does Glenn love?
I love him.
Show off your Beck IQ and write in for tickets at beckquizshow@foxnews.com.
Do you understand?